I think if you are an horror fan and you love even different kind of terror, so the supernatural, the gore,
Yeah.
the mysterious, the occult. So, I mean, I think The Well can really fulfill somehow your expectations because at the end of the day, it's a movie where I wanted to mix so many different phases of the horror. Just why, as a fan, first, I love different kind of horror films. So I didn't want to make a patchwork, but a very insane and dark atmosphere where a lot of different creepy things take place, and they. It's just like I wanted to affect the spectator all the time from different angles,
Yeah.
attacking the spectator from different angles, something that you freak out maybe for a very dark and supernatural moment, and then you get into a very violent scene. So it's because it's what I love the most to come from different angles.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I watch a supernatural film, I miss the gore, for
Yeah.
example, and it's and the opposite too as well. So with The Well, I wanted to make like how do you call that? The ghost train. You get
Yeah.
into that engine, a ghost train. You get scared from all sides.
Yeah.
And also, I we paid a lot of attention for the acting. We had the opportunity to have great actresses and actors in this film,
Yeah.
like Lauren Lavera of Terrifier 2 and 3. They are doing the next chapter.
Yeah.
There is also Claudia Gerini, which is a legendary Italian actress. My daughter is in the movie, playing the kid role. And a bunch of amazing actors, Tyler Zaghi, and so that was a pleasure to work in such a dark story with a cast like this.
And for people that haven't seen the film, which is most people at this stage, most of the general cinema audience, what can people expect from The Well without giving too much away? Because there's a lot of surprises in there. But what's the general story people can expect?
I mean, it's a Gothic story. There is a restorer, which is Lauren Lavera, an American restorer, that goes to Italy to restore a very ancient painting from the Middle Age. So she starts. I mean, it's kind of you have two stories, at the same time, parallel
Yeah.
stories. And when she's traveling in this bus, she meets some, young guys, some biologists. They're going to the same place to study the, animals and the trees. So they make friends, and at one point you see the guys completely disappear. They are kidnapped, and she's keep working on this, painting. At one point, she starts having very horrible visions connected with the other guys. So the terror will flow into different levels. You have two different levels of terror. One is more like psychological, more like supernatural, occult things that are connected, strictly connected with this cursed painting.
Yeah.
And then you have another side which is very gore. Actually, it's very, very, very gore. And what I like the most of the gory side is that we have been working with the master of effects, which is Carlo Diamantini, and we wanted just to use physical prosthetics instead of CGI. Because when it's too digital, you don't feel that. You know, you don't feel it's the same way. So we have recreated bodies, limbs, whatever it was in the movie, the creator. And, I don't want to give away too much, but you're going to watch a lot of things and they look so real because,
Yeah.
Carlo Diamantini was able to do that, physically. And I think there is a difference.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same thing that you can find in Terrifier 2. I mean, Damien is a special effect creator, no? And he wanted,
Yeah.
physical prosthetics. And you can feel, every single wound in that. So it's very, I mean, you can have a little of the Italian flavor if you
Mm.
like. I mean, the Italian horror
Yeah.
maybe is connected with Italian Gothic. You can find some elements with the House of the Laughing Windows, for example,
Yeah.
which was very inspirational for me. And yeah, there is some kind of Italian spicy flavor, but I think it's more like an European horror, because contemporary. We got some elements from the past and mixing them up with, a modern flow. So I think the movie somehow, I wouldn't want a friend of mine who doesn't like the horror to watch The Well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the typical film not for casuals. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You need to be a hardcore horror fan. I think it's very nasty. What do you think?
Yeah, well, also, I mean, I read the little warning about, contains extreme gore and violent scenes, and as I was watching the first sort of 15 minutes, I thought, oh, this is a very stylish sort of throwback to
Mm.
Italian horror, all the nice, nice buildings and the sort
Yeah,
of music, and then suddenly, 20, 30 minutes in, things get real and get nasty, and I was pleasantly surprised at the direction that some of the moments went in, and then you kind of get to relax a little bit in with the
yeah,
upstairs scene, as you said, the two stories running parallel, and then some very unpleasant stuff going on underground. So I think the two stories working one above the other is a really nice technique, because you get that little bit of breathing space, but then you're well
yeah.
aware of what is going on underground. And
You get into the well again.
exactly, yeah. How did
Yeah.
you how did you find that particular house? Was that
Oh,
did
that
you
is a
work
real
all?
house. It's Tivoli. I mean, there is this little town which is Sambuci. It's like 50 minutes from Rome, and very ancient place. Looks like, centuries ago. And we discovered this very nice and, but at the same time, a little creepy place. And you have some, real stories about this place. It seems that there's a ghost in there. Some people of the troupe, set designer, one night was terrified because something weird happened to him. And he called me, "Oh, I will never get back to that place. Now, please, we are making a movie. Please get back." Seems that a door slammed over his face from the inside, just like, "Fuck you, go away."
Wow, okay.
Anyway. Yeah. So we felt like a kind of a weird atmosphere in there. And for me, it was helpful, of
Mm,
course, because just to get in, especially when we were shooting at night,
yeah.
we felt that, kind of atmosphere, dark atmosphere. But it's, at the same time, it was very beautiful from the outside. I mean, it's that part of Italy that you can see on postcards.
Yeah.
And then, and the other side, the basement is, legendary studios. We had 1 month to shoot, and yeah, it was almost 1 year ago. Been a long time, man. Been a long time. Fortunately, I talked to the international sales, and he told me that the movie is doing very well, and soon it will be sold out worldwide. I mean, he's selling the movie everywhere because
Amazing.
people, have fun watching it, which is
Yeah.
the most important thing to me. Fun.
It's definitely like you said earlier, it has that ghost train feel of going from one moment to the next, and you're not quite sure what's around the corner, and it has that kind of excitement to it, and some real gross moments and some scary moments and some nostalgic horror moments as well. What are some of your horror influences, or maybe some of your horror loves? Like, are there any particular films or directors that are kind of ingrained in you as a director?
I mean, I loved horror since I was like 6 years old. The first time that I went to the amusement park with my dad and my brother, there was the Ghost Train. That's why I was mentioning it.
Yeah.
It was the first contact with the horror in my life. So
Yeah.
I asked my dad, Dad, what is that? And he told me, this is the Ghost Train. What do you mean? Let's go. And then we went in there. After, I was completely shocked, but on the other hand, I was very excited. Like, wow, what is that?
Yeah.
I want to do it again. And so from that moment on, I start, collecting comics, horror comics, and everything connected with horror, including action figures of the most legendary icons, the vampire, the werewolf, the mummy.
Yeah.
And so until I discovered all the masters of horror in Italy, I was very young when I started watching Dario Argento's films, Lamberto Bava, Ruggero Deodato, and all the masters of the Golden Age. Lucio Fulci, of course, one of my favorites. My first horror was in 2009. It was Shadow, like a survival horror with some kind of a torture part involved in there, with a very creepy, skinny figure. And we premiered at the FrightFest. But that was, like an experiment, because, as a musician, people knows me in Italy as more like a pop romantic and kind of a cool musician.
Right.
And so when I came out with this first horror, people was, oh, is he the same person? It was just like a shock. Now it's normal for everyone.
Okay.
Oh, it's an horror movie. Is this Federico Zampaglione? Okay. And it's funny to me because sometimes I feel like I'm, living two different lives.
This feels like a kind of nice nod to the classics, but also a return to seeing some ultra gory stuff as well, which is nice as a horror fan. It's fun to watch.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
thank you.
It's a fun horror lovers film, I would say. It's you've done a great job.
Thank you very much. That was my intention. I'm actually very happy because it's not for granted.
No, it's turned out fantastic. You mentioned working with Italian actors and then working with Lauren as well. How did you end up having her for the role?
That was a very strange story because I've seen Terrifier 2. So I went with my Instagram profile and, I left a message to Lauren, like, congratulations for the amazing job you did on Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
And my profile was Tiro Mancino, so the name of the band. After, a few hours, she got back to me in Italian.
Okay.
Surprise.
Okay.
Like, ciao Federico. Un piacere, it's a pleasure to read this message. My husband is from Italy. Everything was written in Italian.
Great.
In a perfect Italian. Perfect. Thank you very much. My husband is from Naples, and he's a big fan of yours. So from that moment on, we start talking a bit on social media, like, oh, I'm doing a film. It's a horror film. Would you like to read the screenplay? And, oh, okay, yeah, of course. Then she liked the role, and also she was willing to get back to Italy because, according to her, it's her favorite place on earth. So she came to Italy. She was very kind, very professional, and we had a great relationship with her. Her husband, very supportive, and all the cast. I mean, they were friends. They've been, talking and hanging out every night. So the atmosphere on set was exactly the opposite. No, I mean, that you see in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie is a very tense and horrible atmosphere.
Yeah.
Korea was a very friendly and and cool one.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for taking the time
thank
to
you
talk
so
to me.
much.
Take
It's been
care.
a pleasure.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye bye.